make sure you turn your physical speaker button up, okay?
My speaker? Oh, I have to have that on.
Well, you won't be able to hear.
Oh,
So just make sure you turn it up.
I'm sorry. Make sure I turn what up?
Your physical button, just make sure you turn the volume up so you can hear it.
Just on my regular speaker?
Yep, your physical speaker is right over there, yep.
I'm sorry, what? Can we join through the computer?
Yeah.
I just now jumped on.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Okay, Ricky, I'm sorry. Good.
Morning, Sharon.
Good morning, Mike.
Can you hear me, Sharon? This is Lenora.
Yes, Lenora.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Okay, do we have Dale, Nan?
Hey Sharon, this is Sarah. They're still in CD committee.
Okay.
Looks like Dale's on.
Oh, good morning, Trevor.
Hey, Sharon. Good morning. He just stepped away from his computer, it looks like.
Okay, thank you.
Trevor,
Yes, I'm
Nan
here.
said she was coming as well. She should be here momentarily.
Thanks, Jim. Good morning, Dale.
Good morning. Happy Monday.
Lee, I think I saw you there. Lee Tucker?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, good morning, Lee.
Hi.
Okay, I think we have everybody now. Mike, would you like to start?
Sure, thank you. Okay, good morning, everybody. Monday, March 15th, Board of Control. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Good morning. Calling the roll for the March 15th Board of Control meeting. It's 11:02. Dale Miller,
Here.
Dan Baker,
Here.
Trevor Meckler serving as an alternate for Purnell Jones,
Here.
Mike Chambers serving as an alternate for Ermin Budish,
Here?
Lee Tucker serving as an alternate for the fiscal officer,
Here.
Nicole English serving as an alternate for Mike Dever.
Here.
Lenora Lockett.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, next on the agenda is to review the minutes. I'm going to make a motion unless I hear anyone has any questions to approve the minutes. Do I have a second?
Second, Miller.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Minutes are approved. Public comment. If anyone from the public wishes to speak, now is the time. Okay, there is no public comment. Moving on to contracts and award, please.
First item, BC 2021-107, Department of Development, recommending an award on requisition 5027 and enter into a contract with Cuyahoga County Land Reutilization Corporation in the amount not to exceed $2,954,199 for administration of the demolition of vacant, abandoned, nuisance, or blighted structures for the Cuyahoga County Property Demolition Program for the period March 15th, 2021 through December 31st, 2022.
Good morning, Sarah Parks Jackson with the Department of Development. This request is recaptured funds from where other cities were not able to use all of their demolition funds at the end of the contract period. And we have aggregated those funds. And as the program effectively is over in that we are no longer doing rounds, these funds have been allocated to the Cuyahoga County Land Bank, and the cities that still require demolition can go directly to the land bank and make those requests.
Thank you, Sarah. Are there any questions from the board on this item?
Yes, I have a question.
Sure.
My question is, where are we in terms of our overall $50 million demolition commitment, and does the use of this money have any impact on that one way or the other?
Through the chair to Mr. Miller, Councilman Miller, we have met the $50 million commitment. And what has happened is, as we provide contracts to cities and the land bank, if those funds are not used or underused, we have continued to provide additional rounds. But since the program effectively ended 12/31/20, in consultation with the executive's office and county counsel's office, the determination was made that the request by the land bank that they be the recipients of those recaptured funds is that we would do that. So this 2.9 million is a result of those fundings, but from an allocation standpoint, we have allocated the 50 million.
Okay, thanks for the report.
You're
Are
welcome.
there any other questions on this item? Okay, hearing none, then I'm going to make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second, Miller.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2021-108, Department of Information Technology, recommending an award on a purchase order to Amazon Web Services Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $103,250.16 to provide hosting services to provide employee access to the Enterprise Resource Planning System for the period February 16th, 2021 through August 15th, 2022.
Good morning, Janelle Green on behalf of the Department of IT. If you recall, on February 8th of this year, the alternative procurement for this was approved to allow IT to engage with Amazon Web Services to provide the hosting services to the county. These services allow for agencies and boards such as HHS and the Adams Board, where they use other systems as their primary systems to access the county's main systems without having to use the VPN connection. This will allow those agencies and boards to toggle between the two systems without having to log in and out of VPN. And this system will still use the security protocols that we've set up in place to verify users and thus increase productivity for these areas. We do know that the vendor has not yet registered with the Inspector General, and we request that this approval moves forward pending that registration.
Thank you, Janelle. Are there any questions from the board?
I have one question, Nan Baker.
Yes, please.
So just to understand, the current system that we have, but it's placed in here, I don't see the words, the VPN.
Yes.
Is that, and I'm sorry if you explained this, I was trying to find my explanations while you were talking. So is the VPN going to continue? And did we realize from the beginning, since these are paid by, these are not paid by ERP, that this was going to be needed?
VPN is still going to continue. Whenever a county employee, just even the regular quote unquote employee, has to access the county systems, we still do need to utilize the VPN. So this was the access to the county's financial systems and primary systems was a problem before even the ERP came into existence. When we were using Famous, that was a problem, and things like that. So when we did test this particular solution out, we were able to finally test to see if this was a viable solution, moving towards a system such as an ERP, which allows some web-based access. So that wasn't really a solution we could do before, because mainframe is not a web-based application, whereas the ERP system is. So this was allow us to come up with a solution for access into the systems. And whatever other systems that access the county servers. So this is not an isolated solution for just ERP. This is for accessing county systems in general without having to toggle back and forth.
Okay, I understand. All right, thanks for the answer. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any final questions from the board?
Yes, I have a couple of additional questions. Is this expected to be an ongoing expense, or is part of this one time, or is how is that going to work?
It's expected to be an ongoing expense. This one, we got approved for the alternative procurement in February for $150,000. This amount is for $103,000 for an 18-month period. So we're seeing how this goes before we move into a longer term contract or an agreement with Amazon Web Services.
And are there other people who can provide this service? To what extent was the alternative process that we did competitive?
So we did look at some other solutions. There are a lot of smaller scale. There are a lot of smaller scale companies out there that probably could have supplied this. We did, when we were looking at this, we turned to the state because the state has an agreement with Amazon for services like this, and so we looked at what the state was using for their solutions, and this is why we chose Amazon, because their Department of Administrative Services had an agreement with them as well. So that's how we embarked on this agreement with them.
And also, for those who are a little bit farther behind on their technical knowledge, could you explain what the VPN is, what it's used for, and why it's needed?
So the VPN supplies a secure tunnel to access the county's information. So while everyone has internet access from their own internet service provider, if you have WOW, Spectrum, AT&T, or whoever you use, they'll allow you internet access to surf the web as normal. But when you wanted to get into secure areas of a business or a corporation or organization such as ours, you want to ensure that only those who are supposed to have access get access to our systems. That's the way we lock down the information from getting out to the broader community. So VPN allows us to lock down and secure the access in order to basically secure all the data that's in our systems and only allow certain authorized individuals to access that information.
And is VPN used by county employees who are working in the office, or is it used by county employees that are working remotely, or both?
Both. Well, right now, so when you're in the building, the security protocols are already locked in and built into our browsers and our internet access while we're in the building. Once you're outside of once you're outside the building or outside of the county buildings, you're utilizing your own network from home to access those. So when you are remote, you do log into VPN to access, if you have files stored on your shared drives from the county, or however you're storing information or accessing county databases and stuff like that, you are required to use a VPN to log into those systems. While you can access something like email, for example, because we have our own domain in terms of email access. You can access email, because that protocol is set up to allow you to access it from anywhere. But if you're looking at specific applications that are for the county, they do need to be accessed through the VPN or through a secure tunnel that we're setting up with this hosting service.
So am I correct that this hosting service provides an alternative to the VPN that's secure for accessing the ERP system, because trying to access the ERP system while on the VPN creates certain problems?
Councilman.
Correct. But not for everyone. Everyone is not accessing this. This is strictly for those whose primary systems is not the county, is county systems, such as HHS, which their primary system is the state system, because of the various applications that the state requires. So this web hosting service, it would be for those kinds of users that are accessing those kinds of systems primarily.
So the people who are on the primary county system can access the ERP system on the existing systems and don't need this.
That is correct.
Okay. It gets complicated. Thanks for your assistance.
Oh, thank you for that question. I think that was helpful for everybody to kind of understand where the Department of IT comes from, and trying to be able to secure access to everything for those people that are here and those people that are working remotely.
Okay.
Question.
Yes, go ahead, Nan.
So the 103,000 for the next 18 months, including February, when we go back out to secure this additional service, will we be doing it with VPN, and will the cost be lower because it's bundled outside of adding this on right now? Is there going to be a savings for us to purchase this at another time after this agreement runs out?
Well, the VPN access, we have different channels, so they're all not the same. We have a couple of different VPN connections. We have one kind for employees. We have another kind that we use for contractors, so as we can, limit their access to the systems that, the applications that they have access to. And then we have we'll have this web service. So, in a year and a half, technologies could be, improved, could be different a little bit by that time. I think we'll always need a VPN, but what VPN looks like has changed from when we originally secured it versus to even last year, because we got a different kind of VPN license last year. So what we're looking at is to see how working with this solution, and then once we move forward in the future, security protocols could change that would allow us, or access protocols could change to allow us to kind of tweak the way we're approaching it in the future. So that's why we engaged in this for 18 months to see where we are now, see where the technology gets us to see if that could change in the future. I don't necessarily think we'll bundle these services, because just in, kinds of just the access and different things like that, I don't think that would behoove us to, it would behoove us to put all those things together. But we will look at how all of these things work together and independently to see how we move forward, if that makes sense.
Yes, I understand. I guess I would ask, for example, the Amazon Web Services, do they now, if you were to go to them and we didn't have the VPN, could they give us VPN and this service and have it all from one source?
I do not believe they offer VPN services. That can be something we can look into. And I can circle back and respond to that question at a later time, but I do not believe they have VPN access. But we can research that a little bit further.
Okay, I would just think that these companies bundle a lot of these services together, and instead of going out and looking for different services on their own, perhaps if we found a service that has many opportunities to use, it may be less than 103,000 for 18 months of one service. That's all. I would appreciate if you can.
Right, and sometimes we don't go and get these kind of services together for redundancy purposes. So if something else or something fails, we still have a backup that's not linked together. So sometimes we have to look at it from that perspective and kind of almost a disaster recovery kind of aspect of if something else fails, we have something to back up that so they're not all tied together on one system. We also have to look at it from that perspective.
Okay, interesting. Thank you.
Sure.
Any final questions?
Mr. Chair, I just have a follow-up question from Councilwoman Bakers. Janelle, after 18 months, if we still need this service, are we putting ourselves in a situation where we will need to continue to receive this service from Amazon, or are we able to bid this out? Or is this something once we're getting this service that we will have to continue to use the same vendor?
Honestly, I think at that point, we could probably bid it out. And I say that because, there's a lot of emerging technologies and a lot of businesses that are cropping up all the time where, they have a similar service or a like service that could compare with Amazon. So I think that when we're ready to, we can bid this out and see what we get and see how comprehensive those services are. So I don't think we've necessarily pigeonholed ourselves to only deal with Amazon forever and ever and ever, but we'll be able to see how we're using it and also be able to really formulate what our requirements are when we have to go out and bid these services out in the future.
If we do change providers, would we need Infor support to do that, or is that something that we could do in-house?
We didn't have Infor support on this one. It was something in-house that we were testing. So we would be able to do that ourselves.
Thanks, Janelle.
Sure.
Okay, hearing no further questions, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second, Miller.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
Thank you.
Next item, BC 2021-109, Fiscal Office Board of Revision, submitting an amendment to a contract with Sadler Necam Financial Services Incorporated, doing business as ProWare for modification, maintenance, and support services on the Civil Criminal Justice Information System electronic filing system for the period January 19th, 2018 through December 31st, 2020, to extend the time period to December 31st, 2025, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $11,660.
Ron, somebody from
Good morning, everyone. I'm Ron O'Leary with the Board of Revision. Audrey Rodriguez from the board has prepared the report for you.
Hi, the board revision is seeking to amend the contract with ProWare to extend the dates of the maintenance agreement from January 2021 through December 31st of 2025. This is the second amendment to the contract, but the extension does put the board revision on the same renewal schedule as the rest of the county agencies that also utilize the ProWare software, such as the clerks and sheriffs. Back in late 17, early 2018, the Board of Revision specifically had a portion of the ProWare software designated for our department to allow us to file proceedings for the expedited HB 294 foreclosure complaints. Prior to this e-file system being implemented, we had to file old school, I guess. We did not have e-file capabilities. We had to manually copy, print, manually walk them down to the Justice Center to hard copy file. So this has drastically increased the productivity of the department for their HB 294 filings.
Okay, thank you, Audrey. Are there any questions from the board on this item?
If I may, Nan Baker.
Yes, please.
So this is going from a 3-year contract to a 5-year contract for the amount of $11,660. So what is the reason for that? That we are, yeah.
Well, we're extending the contract period is being extended from 3 years to 5 years to put us on the same renewal schedule as the other agencies that utilize the program. The first contract included the first one that went from December of 2017 to the end of 18, so December 31st of 18. That was the original contract that covered the development of the software as well as the maintenance through the end of 18. Once we started 1/1/19 to 12/31/20, so it was a 2-year contract for $4,300. I mean, if the pricing schedule, it actually remains pretty consistent annually. It's about roughly, I mean, it was $4,300 for 2 years for the maintenance contract, and then for 5 years, it's $11,660. So it does go up a little bit, but not a tremendous amount. It averages about $2,200 a year, a little over $2,200.
Okay, so the reason why it goes from a 2-year to a 5-year is to line it up with other contracts. Is that what I heard you say?
Yes, this is because the clerk's office utilizes the ProWare system. They renew every 5 years. We are just trying to jump on that timeline for consistency's sake.
So they will all be ending 2025.
Correct.
Okay, thank you for your answer.
Any final questions from the board? Hearing none, then I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
A second, Nan Baker.
Seconded by Councilwoman Baker. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Next item, BC 2021-110, Fiscal Office, Office of the Treasurer, submitting an amendment to a contract with Meter Public Funds Incorporated for investment advisor services for the period January 1st, 2017 through December 31st, 2020, to extend the time period to December 31st, 2022, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $280,000.
This is Bert Wykowski from the Treasury. This contract is for investment advisory services. The original contract allowed for 2 extensions. This is the second extension that is being requested. The first one is the period that just ended on December 31st of 2020. This is being extended through December 31st of 2022, at which time, prior to that, we will have to bid out for a new contract since there are no more extensions. But that is the reason for the extension, is it was built into the original agreement. And this is in an amount not to exceed $280,000, which covers each year at a cost of $140,000 per year.
Okay, thank you, Bert. Are there any questions from the board? Okay, hearing none, then I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. McAleer. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Item approved.
Next item, BC 2021-111, Court of Common Pleas, Juvenile Court Division, submitting an RFP exemption on requisition 5312, which will result in an award recommendation to AdvisX in the amount not to exceed $79,874.77 for a state contract purchase of a specialized high-speed storage area network and recommending the award in connection with said RFP exemption.
Hi, this is Priscilla Bottomley from the Juvenile Court. This request is to replace an aged storage area network that we currently have. This will be a one-time purchase. And Wally Miner from our IT department is on the call to answer any questions regarding the sand storage.
Are there any questions from the board about the storage or anything in this item? Okay, hearing none, then I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second, this is Trevor.
Seconded by Mr. Maculaire. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
Moving on to exemptions, item BC 2021-112. And this item will be read into the record with several changes to the description. As follows: Department of Public Works recommending to amend board approval number BC 2020-376 dated June 29th, 2020, which amended various board approval numbers on various dates, which authorized an alternative procurement process resulting in award recommendations to various providers for the purchase of ready-mix concrete to complete various department orders for the period March 1st, 2018 through February 28th, 2021, to extend the time period to December 31st, 2021, by changing the not to exceed amount from $720,000 to $820,000, and to add Westview Concrete Corporation effective March 1st, 2021.
Good morning, Tom Pavich, Department of Public Works. This item, we're looking to amend an alternative procurement process that we have in place for the county's concrete program, typically used by our road and bridge department. We're looking to extend it to the end of this year and add an additional $200,000 of permissible funds, and add one additional vendor based on logistics and supply and demand.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Are there any questions from the board?
Mr. Chair, I have one.
Sure.
What was, I guess what happened between what is on the printed agenda versus what was read into the record? There was a lot of different dates and times that were different from what was on the printed agenda.
If I may, Trevor, there was an additional approval that had occurred after the 2023-76 that I did not pick up on when I wrote up the agenda caption. So I had referred to a prior approval, like 2 approvals ago, rather than the most current. So that was my error.
Thanks, Sharon. And then for Tom, are you utilizing the amounts as you thought you would from the beginning of this contract, or do you think you won't hit the entire 820,000, or do you think you're going to come back for additional resources at some point?
Our hope is that we don't have to come back. That's why we're asking for the additional 200,000. We're only taking it to the end of this year. We do have a contract in place with one of these vendors that expires at the end of this year. As we navigate throughout 2021, we're going to try to devise some type of strategic plan with concrete, be it an additional formal bid or something else. So that's why we're extending it this year. The additional 200,000, all of those will result in purchase orders that still come back to the board. So you'll see those up to 200,000 come back to the board. I think we've got one that's in the works now with our trades as they're trying to ramp up some of their projects. So the 200,000 is just permissible money. It's not committed right now. But as the needs surface, that's when we create the purchase orders, bring those back to the board. Based on historical use, I think we're on pace. I think there's, a little bit of an uptick in concrete use just based on different projects we're working on.
And do you see doing a similar process in 2022? Have the multiple providers and doing it this way like you did for 21?
Ideally, yes, because with concrete, a lot of it's driven by supply and demand. If we've got a project on a Monday and, the city of Cleveland or, ODOT has a large project, we may be at the back of the bus with deliveries. That's why we've got multiple vendors, just based on supply and demand, logistics, what vendors can deliver as soon as we need it. We've got good relationships with all these vendors. We've got Car Brothers, which is on this list, but we also have them under contract. They deliver within a few hours of being notified. So ideally, we'll have multiple vendors, something in place with multiple vendors going forward.
Thanks, Tom.
Any other questions from the board? Hearing none, then I'll make a motion to.
Mr. Chair, can I actually ask one more? I apologize.
Yeah, go ahead.
Tom, are any of these, do you know offhand, are they MBE, SB, or FB?
Trevor, I honestly, off the top of my head, do not remember. I know one point I did recall, but I can get back to you with those. I'd have to probably just go back to the record.
Thanks.
Will do.
Okay, I will make a motion to approve this item. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Macular. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
And that was as amended.
As amended. Thank you.
Next item, BC 2021-113, Department of Public Works, recommending an alternative procurement process, which will result in award recommendations to various municipalities in the total amount not to exceed $2,528,049 for the 2021 Preventative Maintenance Program for the period February 22nd, 2021 through September 30th, 2022 for the municipalities, and the amounts listed on the printed agenda, items A through W.
Nicole English with Public Works. This is our annual preventative maintenance program where we solicit applications from cities. And it was last December. The applications were due in December. We made selections in February based on our scoring system, and award letters were released then. Once the award letters were released, we come forward with the alternative procurement. And the reason we are doing it this way, which is the same as how we did it in 2020, is so that we don't tie up the full 2.5 million in encumbrances up front, because a lot of these cities, while they get awarded this amount of money, do not come back for reimbursement for it. This is their best estimate is what they're going to use for 2021 for crack sealing, pothole filling, catch basin repairs, but sometimes they don't get to it, or they choose to do different roads. So we don't want to tie up all that money up front, and we'll issue payments individually as they come in for reimbursement towards the end of this year and early next year. There was a couple questions that we received ahead of time, which I got back just a touch late to Sharon on Friday. So there were all cities that requested funding received. I forwarded a file this morning to you. 47 of the 49 applicants received money. The two that didn't, they applied for really large projects that this is really not the program that is best fit. They would be better suited for 50-50 program. They were hundreds of thousands of dollars opposed to, 10,000, 20,000 repair projects. So we had reached out to both of those city engineers and talked them through a better option for them on their projects. That was Brook Park and Westlake were the two cities that did not get awarded the funding. Then the other question was about Gates Mills receiving the most funding, compared to some of the other cities, even though it's a small city. So, some of the cities, depending on it's really not necessarily on their area. It's depending on how many county roads they have and the length of county road mileage that they have. And it's based on what they apply for. So we rank each project individually based on traffic, roadway condition, and cost, and we score them that way. So it's not that we have allotted so much money for the bigger cities and less for smaller cities at this point. It's based on what they apply for. So everybody, as you'll see in the spreadsheet that I had forwarded to you, most cities got everything they asked for, some of them less, and sometimes it's where you see the discrepancy. It's again on these bigger projects that they ask for that are not really the best suited for this maintenance money. These are supposed to be smaller repair type work to keep roads going. So if you have any other questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you, Nicole. Are there any questions from the board?
Yes, I have one. And if a community that did not apply decided that they do want to apply, can they still get in for this year's program, or would they have to wait till next year?
They'd have to wait. So, I mean, when we send the applications, we send them to the mayor, the service director, and the engineer. And then when we receive applications, we have a person in our office who, if we didn't get one from a city, she actually reaches out and calls to confirm that they didn't want to apply for the year. So we really have done a lot of outreach. And I think seeing that we got 49 applications, we pretty much everybody, who wanted to apply. So we would say if they to change their mind, they kind of would have to wait for the next year, just because we've allocated our full funding. We allocate 2.5 million to this program. We went over just slightly. And we know that previous years typically come in under, so we'll be able to roll some money over, which is why we're over 2.5 just by 28,000.
And when normally is our application sent out, and when normally is the deadline to apply?
They're sent out in early November. They're due just before Christmas in December, and then we let them know in February who's gotten their money.
Okay, thanks.
Councilwoman Baker?
Yes, thank you. Nicole, is there a cap to what you will give each city? Is it, it must be more than 158 because that's the largest. But how do you determine, is it just solely by the project, or do you draw the line at 160 or 200 or?
We have in our policy that we sent out, 200,000 is the max per municipality. So normally we've seen it, I want to say a few years ago, Strongsville hit the max, and it's because they had a whole slew of projects. It's hard for it to be one project hitting that max because it just doesn't score well on the cost being so high. So typically you'll see one city a year might get to the max. This year nobody did, based on a combination of many projects. But 200,000 per city is the limit that we've set.
And I thank you. And I questioned the Gates Mills, given it was a smaller city. And I understand your explanation of it's by the project, not by the size. But typically I would think that the size of the project would coordinate with the size of the city. Is the 129,000 for Gates Mills, was that a one project? Do they have an excessive amount of county roads? Is that why they are second to the highest?
I'll have to look up how many specific projects they got. I'm doubting it's one project because I don't think it wouldn't have scored well at that high dollar value. I can look that up and see what kind of mileage of county roads they have. The other thing is sometimes they save up sort of and do all of their county roads in 1 year. And so then they might not apply for anything next year or the year after. So I'd have to look back and see if Gates Mills was awarded anything and did any work in the previous years, because that's another thing that we see is some of the cities will come to us and say, you know what, we really did everything we needed last year. That's why we're not applying this year. So there's kind of a high and low based on the kind of work that they plan to do. So I could check into that for you and let you know what their projects. I think the award letters were attached to the legislation. If not, I can send you guys those out just so everybody sees, because those list the individual projects for each city on the award letter that went to them. So you could also take a look at those for all the different cities that are listed.
All right, and I see the city of Oakwood too, which is a pretty small city. I believe it is. I think it's a small. That too got a pretty high amount, versus some of these others that have 10,000 and 20,000 and just odd to have a small city like that receive over $100,000. So I'll take a look at the backup, but if you can, that would be helpful to get an explanation on.
Sharon, one thing I just noticed since Councilwoman brought this up, all these are listed as cities. They're not all cities. There's villages. So I don't know if we need to change, they should be, I think the issue we sent our list, we just sent the name of the municipality. We didn't send village or city, but.
Okay. We'll have that correct for the minutes as well as the approval letter.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, any final questions from the board? Hearing none, then I will make a motion as amended. Do I have a second?
Second, Miller.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2021-114, Department of Public Safety and Justice Services, recommending an alternative procurement process on requisition 4342, which will result in the purchase of one breathing air supply response truck for use by Lake County Hazardous Materials Team.
Good morning. This is Mary Beth in Public Safety, and we requested formal bids for this project. We did receive 2 bids on time. Unfortunately, both of the responses were deemed to be non-compliant due to bid bond issues. What we're requesting is permission to set aside the bid bond requirement and move forward with reviewing the responses. As both vendors will be treated in the same manner, neither will gain an advantage over the other. We did reach out to Ohio EMA, and they have approved the waiving of the bid bonds. And this is on a critical path because the build-out period for this is over 390 days from the receipt of the purchase order, and this is a grant-funded purchase.
Okay, thank you, Mary Beth. Are there any questions from the board on this item? Hearing none, I will make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Macular. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
Thank you.
Moving on to the consent agenda, items BC 2021-115 through 119.
Board members, please take a moment to review. Does anyone have any questions or need more time? Okay, then I'll move forward. Last call for any questions on the consent? No. Therefore, I'm going to make a motion to approve today's consent agendas items. Do I have a second, please?
Second, Miller.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Today's item approved. Moving on to other business. Just items of vote. I guess at this time it's public comment. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to speak at this time? Please do so. Okay, there's no public comment. At that point, I'm going to make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Lee Tucker. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Item approved. We're adjourned. Thank you. Have a great week.
Mike, thank you.
Thank you.